Jim.
Okay, good evening. This is the Sycamore Township Board of Appeals meeting for Monday, May 18th, and it's 6:30, and we're calling a meeting to order. And I'll ask you, just so we're not disturbed during our meeting, to keep your telephones on mute, and that would help us. So without Secretary Schultz here tonight, I'll just go ahead and take the roll for the members. Tom Sheevy?
Here.
Ted Lugers?
Here.
Jim Eichmann here. Jeff Heidel? Jeff, are you on mute? Jeff Heidel, are you on mute?
He is not, but he may have a speaker down.
Okay. I see him here, so he's here. Hopefully he'll be able to hear us in a moment. And then Steve Schultz is absent for the meeting tonight. So I'll ask at this time that we go for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So we'll have a flag here in a second, and we'll make the pledge at that point.
Go ahead. It's on the screen now.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much.
Flag is gone.
All right, you know, as due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the issuance of a stay-at-home order by the Governor DeWine and the Director of the Ohio Department of Health, and due to the enabling legislation that's House Bill 197, which permits Ohio governments to meet remotely during this time, the Sycamore Township Board of Zoning Appeals will hold their normal meeting tonight via remote video with all participants able to join us by video conference. So we appreciate the public's cooperation as we attempt to conduct the business of the township during these times. So our first order of business is the approval of the past meeting minutes. So do I hear a motion to accept from anyone?
Yeah, I'll move to accept the minutes as written.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you very much. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, Tom Sheevy?
Yes.
Ted Lugers?
Yes.
Jim Eichmann, yes. Jeff Heidel? Jeff still not with us? I see you, Jeff. Can you hear us? We'll have, if someone from staff could give him a call to see if he could unmute, would be helpful here. And so we'll accept the minutes based on that. Okay, so tonight's meeting is as you know, is a public hearing, and all testimony given in cases pending before this board is to be made part of a public record. All testimony and discussions relative to each variance or conditional use is recorded, and it's from this recording that our minutes are taken. We welcome comments and questions at this meeting relating to the facts of the case being heard at the time. Public participants may be anyone who would like to voice their opinion. There will be a time when members of the public may direct concerns, questions, or comments to the board when recognized by myself, the chair. Citizens testifying before this board are signed in here tonight through the video conference, and we have a gentleman, Rob, who is controlling their entrance into the meeting room, and that will happen to be at the time when we get to that case being heard. And I'll swear in the people that are going to be in the video at that time, and once they're recognized by myself, they'll be able to speak clearly, state their name and address for the record, and mention anything that they feel is relevant to the specific case being heard. And please note that those testifying will do so one at a time, and I appreciate that. The normal process at our BZA meetings is to swear in the staff and members of the public if they're providing testimony or presenting evidence in the case. And we'll ask them to limit their testimony only to that which is relevant to the case being heard and the standards that need to be met, which I'll mention when we get to those cases. And it's a note that the Board of Zoning Appeals is an evidence-based body, and that means our decisions are based on hardships and facts, and the facts must address the standards. And as they know, and you know, this is not a committee of compassion, and the burden of proof is on the applicant. So as I said, it's a public hearing, and being sworn in prior to giving testimony is required, and we'll do so as they attend the session at the right time. But at this point, I'll ask the staff to raise your right hand. And do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. And your answer is, I do.
I do.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the first piece of old business tonight, I guess, is actually what I'd like to do first is pass a motion, or at least introduce a motion to accept an electronic signature in lieu of signed documents for any resolutions or voting that we do tonight that require a signature. So I'll ask somebody to, as I introduce that motion, would someone second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
I've got one point to add.
Sure, Skylar.
Only the members of the board that are present right now is this going to be effective for. So if we do have Mr. Heidel come in late, then we'll have to make a separate motion for him.
Okay.
All right. So
all right.
Secretary.
Yep. Still working on. What's that?
The secretary, since Schultz is out, who's filling in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm acting as secretary as well tonight.
Jim, could I interrupt real quick? I have a Stephen Schultz in the waiting room. Is that because he's not on my list? Is he someone I should let into the main meeting?
That's a board member.
Okay.
He's one of the board members, yes.
Great. I don't have a board list. Sorry.
Sorry, Rob. Thanks. Okay, I'll work with Mr. Heidel. Hang on one second.
Okay. And Steve, you're here now?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, good. I had just introduced a motion to do electronic signatures this evening in lieu of a signed document for the resolution or anything we have to sign tonight, and it was seconded by Tom. So I'll ask you to go ahead and perform the secretary duties of taking a roll at this point.
Okay. Mr. Sheedy?
Yes.
Mr. Lugers?
Yes.
Mr. Eichmann?
Yes.
Mr. Heidel?
And he's here, but he's having difficulty with his speaker.
Okay. And Mr. Schultz? Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, and as I mentioned, we'll get to the old business first. And actually, because we had passed a resolution to previous meeting, so we don't have another resolution for tonight, but we do have case SYCB 190018 that is going to be once again continued, and that's for 5-star equity investors on the various addresses on Kugler Mill Road. That was for a conditional use, so that will continue to be on our agenda until further notice. Okay. And so now we'll have new business. And our first order of new business is a conditional use. So, Rob, if you want to enlighten those folks into our meeting that would be involved in the case SYCB 200005.
Jim, I have to say that all 4 members that are in the waiting room are for the second case. I do not see anybody in the waiting room for the first case.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, are you familiar with Skylar with what's going on with that one, or should we just ignore it?
I
Hear it without him.
Yeah, I can't see.
I have
don't
Mr. Lee, Miss Kamen, Steve Ginn, and Stan Better in the waiting room. And it appears those are all for the second case.
Oh, including Mr. Ginn?
Yeah, it's Ginn says it's Sturbridge representative. Is that for the second case, correct?
That'd be the first one.
First case.
Yeah, but so he's not actually the applicant. That would be he most likely would be speaking for himself or as part of the Sturbridge community as public comment. So, do we have? Is Mr. Heidel in the waiting room?
I just admitted him about a minute ago.
All right, thank you.
So once again, the 4 in the waiting room are Mr. Lee, Mrs. Kamen, Mr. Ginn, and Mr. Better.
Mr. Lee may be for the first case.
Do you want me to admit him and you would like to speak with him?
Yeah, we can talk to him. That's fine.
Okay. Admitting Mr. Lee.
Hi, Mr. Lee. Are you in the meeting?
Says he's still connecting.
Okay.
And Jeff, are you connected via speaker yet?
I believe so. Can you hear me?
Oh, we just couldn't see you that time. Okay, so you're on.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll need, if you're going to be a voting board member tonight, I believe the state statute requires video.
There he is.
Okay.
There's Mr. Lee.
Awesome.
Very good. So then our first case this evening will be SYCB2 00005, and that's for a conditional use case. And just so people who aren't familiar with how we handle conditional use cases, I'll explain that briefly, and then we'll get right on to the details of the case. So what is a conditional use? A conditional use are those having some special impact or uniqueness which requires a careful review of their location, design, configuration on any given site. And we always review standards for the board to make their decision on a resolution. So the 4 standards that are considered by the board and applicable to all conditional use cases include compliance with the spirit and intent of our zoning resolution, determination that the proposed use will not have an adverse effect on adjacent property, the protection of natural and scenic and historic features, as well as consistency with the adopted plans that exist. So that's how we'll make our decision tonight in regards to the case that is of Mark Tilsley, who is at 8501 Montgomery Road for this conditional use. Skylar, I'll let you go ahead and present the information we need to consider there.
Actually, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Clark. He's going to be making our presentations tonight.
Okay, starts off this case SYCB 20005 at the address of 8501 Montgomery Road. This is for a variance conditional use. The applicant is Mark Tilsley. The PIN number is 060000920099. The current zoning for this is B, single family residential, and zoning compliance issue is a conditional use church and residential district. The request is for applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use and a variance. The Power Mission Baptist Church is proposing it to build a 3,625 square foot addition, which you guys received wrong information on that. It was like 4,000 something, but the real number is the 3,625 square foot addition, an additional parking of 36 spots added to the 46 already on site. The variance is needed they are 4 parking spots short of needed spots per number of seats in the church. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my stuff and share it with you guys now. Did it come up yet?
Yes, it's here.
Okay. Oh, pass it up. Okay, right here, this is the parcel of where the church sits right now, and this is 3.8 acres of land here where the church sits as of right now. This right here is basically a new plan of the addition is right here where I'm kind of circling it. That's the new addition there. And then they are also adding parking spots right here in front of the building, and then extra spots over in this area as well. Over here will kind of stay the same as what it was already.
Okay.
The next slide is I wanted to show you guys they're doing a lot more landscaping to this site as well. They're putting a real nice buffer here in the back of a lot of trees back here. I know that I'll have the amount for you just here in a minute, but they're putting a tree line buffer basically to the residents of Sturbridge back here. And then also they're adding a real nice streetscape buffer out here in front and a little bit to the side here. And as you can see, they're adding trees inside the parking area as well on all parking lots on the complex. Here's a shot of the front of the church as it is as of right now. Here's basically where that addition is going to go, right in this area here, to the side of the front. Right through here is where new parking is going to be added to the front of the church. Here is the existing parking lot, basically to the north of the church on Montgomery Road here, which they're going to be adding to this as well. And this parking lot is existing. They're not going to do anything to this, but this is the existing parking lot. Besides, they are going to add a little bit of landscaping in here. This right here is the hill behind the church where they're going to add all the trees to give more of a buffer to residents here in the Sturbridge neighborhood. My comments are the Power Mission Baptist Church is requesting a conditional use and a variance to build an addition that is 3,625 square feet as a new sanctuary for their congregation, adding on to the existing 8,740 square foot building that sits on 3 acres. Power Mission is also proposing to add 26 trees to the rear yard buffer between the church and the neighborhood. 21 trees with 51 shrubs to the parking lot landscaping. The church is looking for relief for the parking due to having seats for 341 people, but only 82 parking spots when 86 is needed. The church is only able to build out its site for parking as much as the topography will reasonably allow. Still, the site will be 4 parking spots short. So that's what I have for you, and I open it up now to questions.
Okay, now, do I remember them, Kevin or Skylar, they just had an addition that was put on there not too long ago. Is that correct?
I do not remember an addition being put to that building.
Okay.
They came to us about 2 years ago, I think, didn't they?
A couple years ago, yeah, there was an addition made.
Okay, that was before my time in zoning then.
Okay. All right. So this is just being put on a vacant piece of land that's there today, and we'll have no. So it's really using up a little bit of their green space, but none of their parking lot, and they're adding parking places.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions for Kevin?
Just wondering why they need a variance?
They need a variance for the parking. They don't have enough parking spots for the amount of seats they have inside, so they're asking for a variance for 4 parking spots, basically relief of 4 parking spots, I should say.
So that's all we're considering tonight?
The expansion of the conditional use as well as the reduction of 4 parking spaces.
Now, I understand from the applicant's information that was sent to us that they do utilize the school for some overflow parking already.
Correct.
And that's not going to fulfill the requirement because it's not a permanent allowance. It's I don't want to call it conditional either, but it's a current allowance that the school is permitting them to do.
Let's say it's a good neighbor arrangement.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the best way to look at it. Okay.
How do you factor in the number of spaces? There's, I think, 84 people and 84 spaces and 341 people. So we're assuming that there are four persons to a car that parked there. Or, I mean, how do you arrive?
Yeah. Basically, four seats to 1 parking spot.
Okay. So whatever they're short, they're going to use with the adjoining school then.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, is there any more questions for Kevin or for Skylar? If not, I'll ask if the applicant is present tonight. I guess, Mr. Lee, are you the applicant or are you an interested party? Mr. Lee?
His microphone's not on.
Okay.
Let me check with Jessica really quickly, see if see if we were able to get connected with the architect.
With the applicant? Okay. Because Mr. Lee is a guest from the public. Okay.
Yep.
Jim 3 remaining in the waiting room, Steve Ginn, Stan Better, and Joyce Kamen.
Thank you. We'll check to see if the applicant's here. If not, we'll go ahead and ask the attending public what they would like to comment on. Maybe that's where Mr. Lee can come in.
Okay, it doesn't look like we're able to reach the applicant. I do believe is Mr. Ginn. He may want to speak on this case. So you may want to invite him in.
Okay.
Given our technology circumstances, without leaning or making a recommendation one way or the other, I would say we're probably on somewhat sound ground if it was approved tonight. Instead of denying it, if that's what the board chooses to do, I would just recommend tabling it to the next meeting. So instead of having a denial as the final action without speaking to the applicant.
Would you like me to invite in Steve Ginn?
Yes.
Okay.
And Mr. Lee's still here as well. He's muted, I see.
I do have a new phone number of someone that just came into the waiting room, but I don't have that on my sheet.
Okay.
Rob, will you text me that phone number?
I sure will.
Thank you.
Okay, so without the applicant here, I'm going to go ahead and ask if any of the attending public they would like to make a comment on the proposal for the conditional use that the church on Montgomery Road is going to make here. And so if I believe Mr. Ginn, are you from the attending public that would be interested in this case?
Yes, we're here. I'm with Tom Brockman, and we're here. We're both members of the Sturbridge Homeowners Association, so we had a few words. And I guess you've made some good clarifications already, because we have the original drawing, so we had some of those questions are answered. But we had a few comments whenever you're ready.
Go right ahead. We're ready. But I'd like to swear you in first, if you don't mind. So what we do in our board is we always swear in members of the public and any of the staff members. And I've already done that. So if you'll raise your right hand, if both of you are going to speak, that'd be helpful. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Your answer is I do.
I do.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, go right ahead. Go right ahead. We'll listen to whatever information you have to share with us regarding this resolution, this proposal.
They've always been very good neighbors, and we've never had any problems with them. We have had some concerns of adjoining neighbors that were worried about other developments should it not be operated the same as it currently is. So I don't think that it's changing any of that. The main problems we have, and I hate to say, like you said, it's not a committee for mercy, is that the parking is a problem, only in that when they have events, particularly with Rockwarren, the cars park on both sides of Sturbridge, and if that happens to be a school day, which it does occur, and the buses are going by, the traffic, it's pretty precarious going up and down on those days when they're parked up and down a steep street. That only happens just so often. So, but it is a concern. These are the things I'm just passing along, things that come up to us when we talk about all that Rockwarren area down there. The other thing is that parking lot sharing, I'd say give them 1 point on this. I believe that parking lot that's over at Rockwarren is also shared by the township use for baseball and so on, and cost shared both with Rockwarren and the township. So they might I don't know how exactly. I have read that agreement that you have. There is a permanent agreement for that. And I know you just redid the whole parking lot over at Rockford. So they might have the right to use that lot from time to time. That would be something you guys would have to determine. But we don't see anything looking at that and the things that you've added tonight. We were unaware that that additional parcel that's to the west is going to be landscaped with a buffer. I didn't notice that on the original drawings, but that's a good thing. That would help our neighbors. I don't see the building is being excessively high, or there are any real structures that you're going to stand way up and cause a problem. Certainly a bunch of different issues than the issue over on Kugler Mill that we're trying to work out now. So I'd have to say, I think they're a good neighbor, and I haven't heard anything from anyone else in the neighborhood that contacted us. I know you send out the usual notification, but I have not heard anything really negative about it. And especially if they're not going to change the existing parking that's towards Sturbridge Drive now, I think that'll be okay. Only thing I can think is maybe a little landscape buffering along that south edge of their existing parking that might help take away some of the look in. I've had a couple people comment to me about, oh, we can see that church from Sturbridge Drive when we turn in. Now that thing's got to be at least 200 feet back off the street, but I have heard that comment. So perhaps just a few bushes would be adequate along there just as a comment. Other than that, I don't think we're seeing any problem with this.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. No other comments then? So is there any other attending public there? I believe we had another guest at one moment. Mr. Lee, is he still there?
Yeah, I believe Mr. Tilsley may be in the meeting now. Are you there, sir?
I am. I am. Yes.
Perfect. All right. Do you have video?
I do.
Okay. All right. I can't see you just yet.
I don't see him either.
Well, do you see the green thing? That's the. You're looking at my ceiling, but yes, I am here. I'll see if I can adjust that a little better.
Okay.
Oh, he's shown on there as Mark. It just looks dark right now.
Yeah.
Yes, that is me.
Okay. Well, we already switched. Yeah, this is Jim Eichmann. I'm the chairman. We already switched up the order a little bit when you weren't there to go ahead and listen to someone from the public. Were you able to hear Steve, Jen talk about the Sturbridge comment?
I was not. I apologize. I was fumbling around trying to get into the meeting.
Okay. Well, at this point, what we were doing is we were reviewing your case, and in the cases of conditional use, were you here with us a couple of years ago when we looked at addition to your building?
I was not.
Okay, so what we do with conditional use is we have some process that we go by, and some particular, I'll call them, we have general standards is what I'm looking for the word. General standards that we apply to all of our cases and conditional use. And we look for those four things as being compliant with the spirit and intent of our zoning resolution, determination that the proposed use will not have an adverse effect on adjacent property, the protection of natural, scenic, and historic features, and also the consistency with adopted plans, the current use of the property. So what we like to do is have those four conditions, that standards that we base our decision on a go or no go based on the proposal that you're making. And we've had some comments from the public, which we can review quickly again for you. But in generally what we do is give you a chance to give us, answer any questions that we may have, but certainly to give us your view of what you're going to do, how you're going to go about it, and how those standards can be met based on your plans at the church. So we'll go ahead and give you the floor at this point Mark, and let you address us as the committee that would make this decision on the conditional use.
Fair enough. In general, I mean, we are proposing a 3,625 square foot addition to the existing church facility to essentially modernize their facilities and provide, essentially an adequate sanctuary.
I also, 1 second, Mark. Skylar's probably trying to tell me to swear you in.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yeah.
I forgot with the we're going backwards and inside out with our order here because of the technical difficulties all had. But I do have to get you to what we normally do is because it's a public hearing, we record this meeting, and this will look a little convoluted tonight because of the order we're going in. But we also swear in those giving testimony. And while we've done that with your guests coming in and with our staff, I'll ask you at this point if you would mind raising your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Your answer is I do.
I do.
Thank you very much, Mark. And sorry once again for the interruption. I'll let you continue. You were talking about the size of the building addition you're thinking.
Correct. It essentially is a replacement facility for their current facility, which is no longer adequate. They also need what they call an Oddfellows Hall, which the current sanctuary will become when they build their new sanctuary. They have we've followed the Sycamore Township zoning resolution in terms of requirements for landscaping and all the other things that we need to do to visually and substantially protect the surrounding community. So in that, we have completely developed the site. That is primarily parking. We've maxed it out, and we are, as it stands, 4 cars short, which is the variance that we are seeking, other than the conditional use approval. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mark, can you hear me?
I can.
What is your relationship to the church?
I was hired by the church to examine and explore the possibilities of doing an expansion of their facility.
He's the architect, I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct. I am the architect of record.
Okay.
That's the only technical question I had. He signed the petition, but the owner did not. Is there something we have in the file that says the owner has authorized him to file this? Because we've had this problem before where a tenant might file without the permission of the owner. So it's procedural. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I signed as agent for owner, which has typically worked in the past, and the owner actually should be online with us.
Okay.
I don't see him.
Was that Mr. Lee?
That Zhong Li, yes.
Okay.
He was here. I'm not sure where he is now.
He's online.
Okay, I see his box, but I don't hear him though.
Well, if he's here, I think that's all right. But if he's not here, I think the record should have something from him that authorized you to file the application. You could supply that.
I can certainly arrange that.
Okay.
There he is.
There we go.
There.
Oh.
Zhong Li, we've been looking for you.
No audio.
Turn your audio on. Oh, now it's muted. There we go. Yeah.
Mr. Lee, are you the owner? Okay, I'm gonna ask the owner of the church, right? I was gonna ask you if you didn't mind. We normally swear people in, as you may have heard us talk about already. So if you wouldn't mind to raise your right hand and to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Your microphone's off too. I don't understand science.
Yeah. Give us a thumbs up. That works.
All right. So Mark, are you asking Mr. Lee to give us additional information, or just to signal that you're the designated driver here tonight?
Excuse me. No, just that I am speaking for the church.
All right. Very good. Any other questions for Mr. For Mark Tilsley or for Mr. Lee? Okay, if not, Steve Jen, I'll ask you again to restate some of the concerns you had from the public's perspective, so Mr. Tilsley can hear those. Sure. I'm sorry to make you repeat that again, but I appreciate it.
That's okay. We talked about the parking concern with the sharing with Rockburn, one that still fills up both sides of the street of Sturbridge. That's been a problem, but not a regular problem, just an occasional one. I mentioned it in their benefit that they may have the rights. I know there is an agreement with the township and Rockburn that parking lot over there is for use for the park and so forth. So they might be able to, if you're looking a way to say they do have a permanent way to put those extra 4 spaces over there, that would be up to your legal counsel from the township. The only thing I guess we would ask, they've always been a good neighbor and everything's been fine, and we did not receive any negative comments from anyone since your notification went out, that if you would consider putting in some buffering along the hill slope off that's behind where our sign and stuff is. We've lost a couple trees there. We put some back in, just some bush or minor buffering so that when you turn up Sturbridge, that when you look to the right, you don't see the church directly off of Sturbridge Drive. I don't think it would take a whole lot. It's similar to what was done on the Rockburn side when they put the playground in.
Yeah. Kevin, will you put up the landscaping plan?
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah. Mr. Ginn, you can continue to speak, but just to have something to reference.
There it is right there. You guys see it?
Not yet.
I don't see it yet.
Hold on.
You have to share.
I'm going to do it again. There we go.
That's it.
There we go.
Yeah, I'd say where those, like you see where the Sturbridge sign is, right directly above where it says Sturbridge Drive. It's where your hill starts to slope off, coming from west to east off the south corner of that existing parking lot. It shows a couple of trees, and there are a couple of tall trees there. But just if there was some filler bushes, it kind of started down that hill a little bit, just so that when you're coming up between our landscaping and theirs could be planted without too much expense or effort, and it would give a visibility shield from the building just coming up right there to the north of our landscaping area that you can see there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's certainly possible. There's a fair amount of landscaping there now, but we can infill it with some low-level things to knock down headlights and things like that, as long as it doesn't obstruct the view or the view of the entrance.
No, it would be way to the east of it would be actually to the east of your east side of the parking lot, your existing parking lot. It'd be along in there, just some filler ones in there that would just we wouldn't see the building. I just think it could be easily done. If you just consider it, we're not looking to make it a major, whatever township thinks, but something like that.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem. we can augment the existing landscaping.
Okay, that'd be great. Other than that, I'm glad to see things are being prosperous for you. And like I said, always been a good neighbor. We have really no issues at all with it.
Very good.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for that. Are there any other attending public that we know about, Skylar, that would be interested in this case other than who we've heard from?
No, sir. I believe everybody that's in the waiting room is waiting on the next case.
Okay. So are there any questions from our board for any of the witnesses?
No?
Okay, if not, I'll close the public comment now that everybody's had a chance to speak. And this has gone in a little reverse order inside out, but I think we covered all the right details and we got to hear from everybody. So now the board will discuss the issues before them, and I'll entertain a motion when we get to that point. So any comments from the board members?
No.
I don't have an issue with anything I'm saying, and as long as the Sturbridge people are happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, and I think if we have any kind of concern over additional landscaping, it can be referenced to the staff to coordinate that effort with both parties.
Yeah, we can just include that with
that's
the
fine.
approval, right?
We'll work with Skylar's office.
Okay, anybody else have from our staff here, from our board, I'm sorry, any comments to make?
No.
If not, I'm willing to entertain a motion for approval or denial of the request for conditional use and the included variance.
I move that we approve SYCB 200005 as submitted.
I'll second.
Did you want to include the extra landscaping on that?
I think that they will take care of that, and we don't need to get into that. Everybody seems to be friendly, and I think the less said, the easier it'll be.
Okay.
Exactly.
I second it.
Okay, any discussion from the board?
No.
Okay, if not, Mr. Secretary, a vote?
Mr. Sheevy?
Yes.
Mr. Luters?
Yes.
Reichman?
Yes.
Mr. Heidel?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz, yes.
Okay, very good.
If I may, Mr. Heidel, do you agree to your signature being in an electronic format?
Yes.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thanks very much for that. Okay, very good. Well, do we happen to have a resolution that we can then
yes, we do.
Introduce and vote on as well? And it will save us 30 days in that regard?
Yes, sir. We actually we did email an approval and denial version to you. Let's see if do you want this read aloud?
I see the one. I have it right here in my email.
Okay. You all should have received that.
This is for SYCB 20005 for approval.
Yes, sir. Resolution approving a request for a conditional use permit.
Got it.
Just so the record's clear, you prepared a draft each way, so the public's not confused that we decided this case before we heard the evidence. We could still deny it if we wanted to.
Correct, sir. Yes, you received two draft variants, or excuse me, resolutions. The vote could have went either way. This is going to be our typical format moving forward, is just having a resolution prepared. If for some reason all of your questions aren't answered in the future, we can certainly table. We can, we don't always have to approve the resolution the same night, but on straightforward cases like this, it does simplify the process for the board and for the applicant.
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't want there to be any confusion that we had discussed this beforehand and somehow arrived at a decision. We did not.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't believe there's any need to, if we all are looking at it now, which I am, and reading it, I don't think there is any need to go through the whole thing as it is. But it's, if you want to take our vote of record for this resolution at this point in time, this is the resolution for SYCB 200005. It's for approving a request for the conditional use permit and the variance. We'll go ahead, Mr. Secretary, and take a vote.
Mr. Sheevy,
Yes.
Mr. Lugers,
Yes.
Mr. Eichmann,
Yes.
Mr. Heidel,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz, yes.
Very good. Thank you for that. Okay, and thank you, gentlemen from the church as well as the neighborhood. We appreciate your help and cooperation this evening. So thanks for joining us this way, and sorry for the little confusion starting out getting everybody connected.
Very good.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
Just for purposes of conducting this meeting, we're actually going to essentially close out those participants that aren't part of this existing case. The live streaming is still available, so there's a link on our website. So anyone that's essentially kicked out of the meeting at this point still has access to participate and view in that format. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, and Rob, we can have the folks join us from the Carnaby Lane address whenever you're ready.
I have Stan Better and Joyce Keeman. Stan Better?
Dan Better. Gosh, I haven't talked to him forever.
Okay. Okay, Rob, we can have the folks join us from the Carnaby Lane address whenever you're ready.
I have Stan Better and Joyce Keeman. Stan Better?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Thanks very much. You're joining our Sycamore Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting in progress, and we've got the folks join us from the
Stan needs to turn off his Vimeo.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm here.
You can just mute it.
You're joining our Sycamore Township.
He's muted.
No, so mute your Vimeo, the live stream, and keep your Zoom meeting mic unmuted.
All right, he's now unmuted.
There we go.
He needs to turn the volume down on his computer for the Vimeo.
Okay.
Nope, you're still muted, Stan.
I think Rob is muting him because of the feedback. We've got to get the sound controlled on his end.
Yeah, he's got to do it now because I.
Skylar, can I see you in the back real quick?
Yep.
Him because of the
he should be on. He should be good to go now.
Okay, Stan, we got you on here. So you're joining our meeting in progress, as you well know, and this is going to be a review of case SYCB 20006 on Carnaby, and this is for a variance. And just to help you, Stan, if you're the applicant, it sounds like you are, we're actually in the middle of our process, but you're joining our meeting in progress, as you well know. I still have you. I still have you on two speakers, Stan. So this is getting sounding pretty bad. On Carnaby, and this is for a variance. And just to help you, Stan, if you're the applicant, it sounds like you are. We're actually in the middle of our process. You're joining our meeting.
Stan, can you close out your Vimeo link on your computer or on your phone? Because there's a 7-second delay and it's disrupting.
Stan, can you
close out your Vimeo link?
I'd love to. I don't know how to do that.
Because there's a 7-second delay.
I would love to do that, but I don't know how. The only thing I can think of is just get out of everything and come back in.
Probably the right thing to do.
All right, I'm going to close out everything and come back in.
Good idea.
I'd love to. I don't know how to do that.
There's a 7-second delay.
I would love to do that, but I don't know how. The only thing I can think
Patience is a virtue for those of us who are trying to participate in the Zoom meeting when it's difficult for everybody to cut in and out here. So apologize to those viewing in the public. And I guess if Rob had 2 people that came in, we only got 1, I think.
Yeah, Joyce Kamen is still in the waiting room.
Okay, and so she's going to be a member of the public at some point.
It says property owner in second case.
Very good, thank you.
All right, there's Stan.
Okay.
Stan is being admitted.
Okay, Stan, good to see you back again.
All right. Hopefully that eliminated the problem.
That should work great. Stan, if you've never been involved in our Board of Zoning Appeals before or been in one of our meetings, what we do is we review conditional use cases, which we did in the first one that you may have been listening to. And also we look at variances as well. And let me explain to you what a variance is and how we go about making our decision.
Before you do that, the owners are online also. I don't know whether they're privy to hear this at this point and should be allowed in to this point. That's Kamen. Joyce Kamen.
Yes.
So I would ask if they be allowed to be part of this to come in.
And you are the architect, Stan?
I'm the architect. I represent the Kamen.
So Rob, I think it'd be good to have the owner in here as well at this point.
Perfect. She's being admitted right now.
Jim, don't we need to swear them in?
Yes, we haven't gotten that far yet, Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just going to introduce them to how we're going to go about our decision first.
Okay, I'll butt out.
I haven't asked, no, it's okay. I haven't asked for their participation just yet. We're just trying to get everybody online. That's good. And so we have Joyce and Stan on here. Stan's the architect and Joyce the owner. Joyce, what I was just starting to explain to Stan is, and you may have heard us in the meeting if you were watching online before, we actually work through a couple different things in our Board of Zoning Appeals, and that is we entertain different conditional use cases like we did with the church, as well as variances for properties that are doing something that's an official permit to do something that's normally forbidden by our regulations. So what we do is, to make it a little bit easier on you to understand how we approach it, I'm going to tell you how we go about deciding on variances, and then we'll go through a process where we have our staff present the information and have a chance for our board members to ask the staff a few questions. Then we'll ask for you, the owner or the architect, to speak to us about that. After I swear you in, we'll do that. And then we'll ask if anybody from the public wants to speak about it. And then we'll generally go about making a decision on how we go about this with a resolution. So just let me explain first so you have an understanding of how we're going to go about this, that what a variance is and how we look at it. So as I mentioned, a variance is an official permit to do something that's normally forbidden by our regulations. That is, by building in a way or for a purpose that's normally forbidden by zoning laws. No variance that we have that will be granted will be greater than the minimum necessary to relieve the hardship or practical difficulty demonstrated by you, the applicant. Our Board of Zoning Appeals has the responsibility to make sure certain conditions are met, and they number a few, 7 to be specific. Number 1, it is a unique physical condition. Number 2, it is not self-created. Number 3, it would deny substantial rights. Number 4, it is not merely special privilege. Number 5, it must be in harmony with the township resolution. And number 6, it would not result in a use or development on the subject property that's materially different or detrimental to the township. And 7, the decision made is irrelevant to the fact whether or not construction has started or been completed on a violation that did not request to receive a proper building permit. And I don't believe that's the case or the point in your case. But that's generally the 7 guidelines that we use when the board reviews a particular variance request. Some are very complex, others not so complex, but nonetheless, we look at those processes. So, and as I mentioned, the board will go about letting the staff present the case. We'll discuss it with them. Then I'll ask you to speak at that point, and then we'll make a motion for approval or denial of variance. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll get started with that. I'll go ahead and say that we'll have the staff SYCB 200006. That's the applicant is Stan Better, the architect for the owner at Carnaby Lane. This is for a variance. So Skylar or Kevin, which one do you?
Kevin, go ahead.
It'll be me.
Kevin. Thank you.
All right. Case SYCB 200006, address at 8084 Carnaby Lane. Request is a variance. Applicant is Stan Better. The parcel pin is 060001200113. Current zoning is B-2 cup. Zoning compliance issues are table 4-6. Lot area, lot width, yard requirements in residential district. Requirement is 30 feet rear yard setback. The applicant requests a variance to table 3-4 of the zoning resolution to construct an addition of a 12 by 18 foot roof covering over an existing paver patio to replace the existing 13 by 18 pergola in the rear of the irregular property. Existing property is 64 by 135 irregular, approximately 9,100 square feet. Let me go ahead and share my screen to give you guys a look. Okay. And everybody see it?
It's up now.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and show you guys this is the parcel right here that I like to show you guys, to show you exactly the property which is in question here. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. This is the proposal off the back of the house. If you guys can see where I'm going around it right here. This is the new covered porch that they basically the covered, to cover up their porch that they'd like to do, where they're going to take the pergola off and go ahead and construct this over top of the paver patio they have already in place. Here's a shot at the front of the house. This is the rear yard. This is where they're gonna take this pergola that's already there. They're gonna go ahead and take that off, and then they're gonna construct a roof over top of this paver patio off the back of the home. Here's another shot of where they're gonna, like I said, this pergola here is gonna be taken off, and then a roof is gonna be constructed off to the back of the home over top of the patio. Then I gave you a shot from the other side of the yard as well, showing you where it's going to be. This is going to be gone. Like I said, the roof is going to be constructed over top of this here paver patio you see underneath. Comments on the applicant is requesting a variance to allow an addition of a 12 feet by 18 feet cover porch over the existing paver patio in the rear of property after removing the existing 13 foot by 18 foot pergola. The new roof covering will be 10 feet into the setback, 20 feet off the rear yard property line, where the old pergola was 16 feet into the setback and 14 feet off the rear yard property line. That's what I have for you, and I'll go ahead and open it up to questions.
Okay, does any of the board members have a question for?
I need to go ahead and I made a mistake. Basically, table 4-6 instead of 3-4. I'm sorry, I made a mistake there, gentlemen.
In terms of the reference document?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the zoning resolution.
Thank you for that clarification.
I'm sorry about that. I made that mistake.
No problem. Once again, any questions from the board members to the staff?
Not for me.
No.
So Kevin, actually this roof itself is going to be less intrusive into the backyard than it is now by just 1 foot.
Correct.
But
Yeah, they're only going to be basically going 10 feet into the setback instead of where they were 14 feet.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
And still attached to the house, so the only issue is the setback. Nothing to do with the construction or the size of the roof.
right.
Okay. Just the setback and
Yeah.
in effect part of the side. Yeah.
Right.
No questions from the from any of the board members?
Not at this point.
Okay, I'll ask at this point, Stan and Joyce, and Joyce, is that someone with you as well?
This is my husband, Fred.
Okay, so if any of you are going to make any comments at all during this, I'm going to ask to swear you in because it's a public hearing. Being sworn is what we usually do in giving testimony. So if you intend to give any testimony or any comments at all, we ask you to raise your right hand. And
Anyway,
do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. That's good. And at this point, I'll go ahead and ask the applicant what you'd like to add or tell us about this particular construction. It would be helpful for us in making our decision.
First of all, just a clarification, the pergola sits 18 feet out from the house. We are turning and doing the roof overhang only 12 feet out. So there is a 6-foot difference of going into the setback. The setback actually almost occurs right at the building line. So we have sort of a unique hardship here in that you can never build anything off the back of this house with the hardship of the setback. Also, I just wanted to comment that which you don't see in the photograph, but the rear of the house actually is adjoining to a green space. So there isn't somebody's backyard back there. It actually is just a lot of open land. When I first got there, I thought they owned all that. So I didn't even think that was an issue, but it turns out that that's all public space. So, but obviously non-buildable. So that was really some of the clarifications that I wanted to bring up.
Okay. Any other comments from either of you?
No.
Okay, and Skylar and Kevin, I mean, I live in this neighborhood as well. I mean, normally these particular, we have a PUD here, okay? Is there some specific ruling in the neighborhood in regards to that, the way it was developed in handling setbacks, in a PUD?
Yeah. So I'll jump in on this one if it's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
What we have are two different setback standards because of the type of structure that it is. That the pergola structure is not actually an integral part of the house. Therefore, it's a separate accessory structure to the home, and it is allowed to encroach into the rear yard setback. The roof line, the covered patio, by definition in the zoning resolution, calls that out as an addition to the home. And so what you're doing now is where there was not a encroachment of the principal structure into the rear yard setback, you now have one. So it's actually a reduction in if you're standing out in the backyard, you're actually further away from the rear yard. But because of the type of structure that it is, it requires the difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I get, we have a homeowners association too. And so this has to be approved by both them and the township for this process.
It's already
and I don't
been
think it matters. I'm sorry.
It's already been approved by the homeowners association.
Okay, yeah, we saw that in a note from the HOA president. Yeah, so I don't know. It's irrelevant one is done in which order. but each one has to stand on its own. And in that case, so our zoning and a PUD and the way we go about this in this particular development where most neighbors' yards are like that, that it still has to have a variance approval from us, correct?
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Yep. Okay. All right. Any other questions to the owner or the architect?
No.
All right. If not, I'll ask if there's anybody from the public that has either there or Rob, has anybody tried to join our call from the public?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So at this point, everybody's had a chance to speak their piece. I'll go ahead and close the public comment, and I'll now have the board members discuss this. And then if we finish that, we can entertain a motion for approval or denial. So any comments from the board members to each other?
I'm inclined to approve it.
Yeah, all I can say from my perspective, I mean, the footprint's going to be smaller. It just seems like a no-brainer to me.
Okay. Any other comments? Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Steve. If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval if everybody seems to be leaning that way.
On case SYCB 200006, I move to approve as submitted.
And I'll second that.
Who seconded that?
Yeah, Jeff.
Jeff? Okay. Good. Well, Steve, if there's any other comment, if no comment, then go ahead and take a vote.
Mr. Sheevy.
Yes.
Mr. Lugers.
Yes.
Mr. Eichmann.
Yes.
Mr. Heidel.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz, yes.
Very good. So that passes unanimously. And I guess, Skylar, you had the staff also sent us a resolution for denial and for approval of this, depending upon which way we went tonight. Is there any discussion about the, let me see if I can get that back up here for me. 406. Yeah, oops. Is there any discussion on the draft of the approval for this that anybody has a comment on? It's Sycamore Township Board of Zoning Appeals resolution for SYCB 200006, a resolution approving a request for variance where it was made for 8084 Carnaby Lane, Sycamore Township. And it has resolution in all 6 sections. So any commentary on that at all from our staff or our board? If not, we'll go ahead and take a voting record for this resolution to pass. Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Sheevy.
Yes.
Mr. Lugers.
Yes.
Mr. Eichmann.
Yes.
Mr. Heidel.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz, yes.
Okay, and we have already passed a motion tonight accepting electronic signatures in the case so that we could get the resolutions approved if there's or denied in either way. In this case, we approved this resolution, so saves you the 30-day wait time for you guys to get your permits from Hamilton County and get started. So,
Thank you.
any other comments, Skylar, for these folks?
No, I don't. First off, thank you for your patience. I realize that this particular case, it looks very straightforward, but this is one of those cases where, as much as I would have loved to approve this by right, I have to recognize that as a staff member of the township, my hands are tied to a certain extent. Based on definitions, it required the variance. So thank you for your patience and willingness to go forward with this. The process sometimes justifies the outcome, and I'm happy that you were willing to work with us on that. So thank you. We'll get permits issued as soon as possible.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rob, for that. I guess there's no one else in the waiting room, I hope.
No, sir.
Very good. Okay, so that concludes things for this evening. The date of our next meeting is going to be June 15th. June 15th on 2020 at 6:30 p.m. I'm assuming we'll also do a video call for the public to join us then again. And
that actually remains to be seen. With the pandemic moving forward, we may be opening things up. I'm waiting to kind of take notes from how the Board of Trustees conduct their business.
Okay.
If they go back to public meetings, I would like to transition back to public meetings. We may have to play around with how we work with applicants and just general members of the public that participate. Keeping proper distancing and whatnot.
People have to wait in cars or whatnot until they get to their.
We'll just have to we'll work through that. Obviously, I think we've shown tonight that sometimes technology can get the better of us. I definitely think these types of meetings where we're looking at plans are better facilitated in person. So if we can move back to real world meetings, then I'd like to, but to be determined. Let's leave it at that.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So are there any miscellaneous communications or business items tonight from the staff?
Not tonight. As of right now, I don't believe we have any applications for June. I'll have to double check the deadline, but we'll keep you apprised.
Okay, very good.
Can I ask you on the 5 equity case? I don't like continuing these cases indefinitely, month after month. Is there some progress being made on that we can dispose of it one way or the other?
I wish I could give you an update on that, but I believe the courts have continued that case, and it's required to stay on the agenda. So I would like to resolve that myself.
I'm talking about the one on Kugler Mill. That's not in the court system yet, is it?
I
represent the Kavickis?
Yeah, I believe it is.
We didn't take any action on that, did we? No, I guess we denied it. I guess we denied it, and they appealed it. I guess I can't remember now.
I think there might be some mediation on that. We're actually supposed to get an update on that at the trustee meeting tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else from anybody, board members or staff?
Yeah, I'd like to know where Sheevy's getting his hair cut.
Is that a compliment or an insult? I don't know.
No, you're getting a haircut and I can't find any place that's open.
Oh, well, my wife will do it for you. She's cheap. She's not cheap. She's cheap haircuts.
Okay, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. If everybody is finished with our meeting, then we can discuss anything we want after that.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Secretary, you want to take a vote?
Yes, Mr. Sheevy.
Yes.
Mr. Luters.
Yes.
Mr. Eichmann.
Yes.
Mr. Heidel.
Yes.
Mr. Schultz, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. The Sycamore Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting is ended. It's 7:44. So thank you all for being here, and hopefully it worked out a little better than it sounded from the very beginning. Rob, I appreciate your help in working through the issues with the people on standby.
Absolutely, gentlemen.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Good night.
It was a slog, but we made it.
We'll keep in touch. Thanks very much.
Alrighty.
All right, bye-bye.